The man, the myth, the legend. Joe C is retiring. What's up, guys? Welcome into Back Roads and Ball Games. I'm your host, TJ Perry, and that was the big news of the week. Back on Monday, news kind of broke. Press conference on Tuesday. Good thing is, he's not leaving quite yet. Gonna stick around another full, at least probably academic school year. Stay on in an advisory role for a couple of years. So Joe's not leaving us anytime soon. But it is the beginning of the end, what was an legendary career. Probably one of the best of all time for an athletic director and even a better human being. I think that's what Joe, when people look back on the history of Joe Castiglione, the thing about it is he's had huge success as an athletic director. He is one of the best of all time. He has guys underneath him spread all across the country that consider him a mentor, that he's advised, that worked under him, that respect him. But I think it's going to be the human being that we all look back on and miss because there's nobody like him. He was the best at handling people of anybody I've ever seen and been around. Watching him work a room, the way that he talked to people and handled people in a true caring, interested fashion. There are people that I've seen come up to Joe, start a conversation with him, and me being the jerk that I am, would be like, I want no part of this conversation. Joe would stick with the conversation. He would answer their questions to the best of his ability or to the best of how he could with what they were saying. But he was truly interested and invested in what they were saying. I can't say that's true for me all the time. All of you out there, you probably say the same about you. But Joe was the best at that. And I think that's what's going to be missed the most about him being around the University of Oklahoma. I've obviously got to know Joe pretty well over the years and had a tremendous time with him on the radio, co-hosted shows with him, have had a lot of laughs over the year, a lot of good talks out at L. Dale Mitchell Ballpark. We would stand around, we would talk about the game, talk about life. Joe was the best. And so I wouldn't say that I was shocked with the announcement that came down earlier this week. As I said, with Joe's age, and Joe's in great shape. He still has those faculties about him. He could have done this for, 10, 15 more years if he wanted to. But I think with the evolution of college sports, the way things are changing, I think if Joe was being honest, he isn't sure about the new direction of college athletics and probably knows it's time to hand it off to someone else that can take it to that next level, to where it's going. And not that he's not going to be a part of that for the next few years. I just think he knew I'm more old school in my thought process and the way that I handle things. Probably trying time to get a new brain in here to kind of comprehend what's going on with all of this. And what's going to be the role of an athletic director at universities in 5, 10 years? Is it going to be the same that it is now? Probably not. All the changing positions with GMs, president of operations, NIL funds, revenue sharing. There's so many positions now, so many people in a pecking order that I'm not sure exactly where an athletic director is going to fall in a few years. I won't say that's not going to be a relevant role. It will be, but it is changing. It will be different. And maybe down the road in college football, it might be a non existent position. We'll see what happens as this thing plays out and we get to a landing place eventually. Hopefully, some of this will become more structured and we'll understand it a little bit more. But I'm sure Joe thought to himself, now's the time. It gives me a few years to work with someone, to find the right individual that I think is the perfect individual to step into my shoes. How would you like to step into those shoes, by the way? No thanks. That may be the toughest job that he has. I'm sure there's plenty of guys wanting to jump at that opportunity. But when you pull back and sit and think about it, and you're like, that's Joe C. I'm feeling those shoes. I'm feeling those Jordans, that fedora. Heck no. Some will probably think of it in those terms. But this does give him the opportunity to say, I went out on my terms. It wasn't a forced thing. There's some big decisions to be made at the end of this football season, at the end of men's basketball. Some things don't go the way that as fans and administration you hope they do. The jump you hope they make in both those sports. Probably not a process that Joe wanted to go through again. There will be, hopefully those decisions don't have to be made because they have great seasons and we do see those significant jumps. We do see a better season in football. We do see that advancement in basketball to build upon what we saw last season with Porter Moser and his staff. But Joe will be missed because he's one of the best at handling people, like I said earlier, that I've ever seen. And I think that's, that says a lot about who he is in a position that really takes a lot of heat, that fans can turn on you quickly. Look, Joe had his detractors around here. You don't win a football title for as long as this program hasn't, being the monster that it is. There are those out there saying, oh, Joe C sucks. Get rid of this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's too old school. But for the most part, he's loved, respected, and embraced by this fan base still almost 3 decades later. And that says so much about the human being that he is. Getting to know Joe the way that I have has been tremendous. We had the great, back and forth a little bit over the Fletcher's Corn Dog situation that I like to take credit for. Joe wants to act like he did all this work in the background. We all know the truth. I brought the idea to him. He simply implemented. All jokes aside, that day was an awesome day. I got a call from Toby Rowland. He said, hey, boss man wants to meet with you. I thought he was talking about our boss at the radio station. He said, no, Joe, can you be at his office or be over at Lloyd Noble Center? I don't know exactly where it was that he told me to meet him at 4 o'clock today. I don't even remember what I was doing that day, but if you're summoned by Joe Castiglione, you go. So I head over to Lloyd Noble Center. I pull up, and there are people everywhere. I didn't know what was going on. And suddenly I see a Fletcher's Corn Dog truck stand over there in the Lloyd Noble parking lot. The mascots are there. There's all kinds of people from Sooner Sports Properties, other OU officials there. And Joe comes over and says, hey, we did it. And I'm like, cool. You got Fletcher's here for a day. That's awesome, because that's kind of what we had talked about on the radio. Joe had asked me on air, hey, through COVID, everything that we're going through, what's something I could do for the fans to help them through this? This was the year that limited amounts were able to go to the Cotton Bowl. The state fair was shut down. And I said, you know what? People aren't going to get their Fletcher's Corn Dogs this year. So maybe you get the food truck here for a day on Campus Corner, whatever it is, and they can come out and buy their Fletcher's Corny Dogs, and it'll still be sort of an OU Texas week for them. And then he let me know, hey, this isn't just here for the day. It's going permanently in the stadium. They're going to have a spot at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, and we're going to have Fletcher's Corny Dogs. And that's why he had called me over there that day for the special meeting. It was hilarious. It was an awesome day, and very cool. But that, again, I'm just some yahoo on a morning show in Oklahoma sports radio. He listened to the idea, and I don't know, still to this day, if that idea had already been there and they were already discussing about being in the stadium, or if that was, I threw the match and he lit the fire and got it done. Whatever it was an awesome day. That's just who he is. He took an idea, took it to his people. They did a ton of work. I take all the credit, and Fletcher's is here. So, just an awesome individual. The way that he handles people, the amount of respect that people have for him, it's just, he's going to be missed. And I have not texted him yet. I haven't called him yet because he's not leaving yet. In my mind, that announcement earlier this week wasn't real. One, we've still got him. He's still here. Two, he's got the 2-3 years, whatever he's going to do in the advisory role. It's not the end of Joe C. So I'm not sending that congratulatory text yet. That will come one day. But that is the big news of the week, and we'll see where it goes. We're going to see where college football goes. All the different bills that are being introduced and the trying to figure out how do we get a rein on this and figure out how to go forward in this new world. We're going to talk about that coming up on an episode coming up because I think, man, college football is in a very, very curious situation right now of, do we still have student athletes in 2-3 years from now? Or are they simply minor league football players that aren't even going to class? So we'll get into that on some future episodes. Coming up next week, I leave on Sunday. We're heading to Colorado. My first visit to Red Rocks Amphitheater. I cannot wait. Eric Church, 3 nights. I'm just going to the first night. So I'll report back on that. It is a bucket list venue item. We leave Sunday, concerts Monday night. So hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Back Rows and Ball Games. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Any questions you got, let me know. Your thoughts on Joe C., put them down below. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks.